Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain.
Hello everybody and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Truck Series live with Championship Night here at virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying is complete. Drivers getting gridded up and getting ready to go for one more time here in the Truck Series. Let's get right down track side and get things started with tonight's starting grid. The man on the pole, first pole of the season, John Legger, puts down a very fast lap to get himself that front row starting position at a 30.314. Harley Barletta will start to his outside in second in the 31 truck with your championship leader, and will be officially crowned champion after this race. That's James Harrison, the number 55, rolling off in the third spot. Tyler Meeks will start fourth with Kevin Kirchar rounding out the top five. Brock Whitehead will roll off from the sixth position. George Young in the 48 back in seventh with Jason Ethery in eighth. Brad Thacker and Charles Whitehead rounding out the top 10. Back in 11th, it's going to be Bryce Rayner, and the last man in the field tonight is Brian Lorenzo. Looking at your race info, again, final race of the season, and it is the Atlanta 120. We're going to run 80 laps here at the legendary mile and a half that breaks down to 120 miles. These guys do have 100% fuel, 2 sets of tires, 1 fast spare if you need it, fixed setups as always, and 2 green-white checkers, which we did need last week at Darlington, so you never know what could happen at the end of this race. 90-degree track temp, 74 outside, cloudy skies, and humidity. Not going to be a big issue. Neither is wind. Again, this is old Atlanta. We thought for a while this season it was going to be new Atlanta, the one that races like a super speedway. It is not. It is old, bumpy, and tire degrading Atlanta, which means it's going to be slick out there, and it is going to be a tough one for these guys. All right. Time to get going one more time this season. Quick note, James Harris, with only 12 trucks starting this race, has enough of a points advantage over Bryce Rayner that he will be your official season champion. So big tip of the hat to James Harris, and we will be celebrating him through tonight. You know we'd like to get one more win, though, before it's all said and done. Here we go. Green flag in the air one more time this season. Let's go racing at Atlanta. Good start out of the gate. James Harris, boy, what a move. Goes from third to first by the time they exit turn number 2. Showing you why he's season champion. Quick to single file out, though, for the first 5 to 6 trucks. Still 2x2 in the back 2 rows of the field, though. I think we could see this a few times tonight if we get any restarts. Again, you look at the size of the field. It's going to be tough to get some cautions besides early on in the race. As things get spread out, though, we'll have to see what happens. Bryce Rayner going to be quickly trying to make up some spots here early while he's got the tires that he can use. Well, I'll tell you what, iRacing went through a massive update today. The biggest one that I've seen since I had joined iRacing. The update was almost 80 gigabytes required. And so a lot of guys, a lot of things are different. I don't think they made any big changes with the trucks or Legacy Atlanta. But iRacing itself did make a few updates, so still a few new things for these guys, including the UI. So wanted to make a note of that. Also a big thing you might notice from now on if you watch the PGR eSports broadcast. Bottom right, that big iRacing logo. iRacing has set it up now so that you cannot make that smaller anymore. And they wanted to make sure that they get as much credit as they can. Still single file up front, but John Legger, the pole sitter, was able to get back out in front of second place now, James Harris. And for Harris here, just dialing it in early. He's got the Grindstone Developments paint scheme on board here tonight. And really, this track is so interesting the way it runs, because the first couple laps is, I don't want to say similar to New Atlanta, but there's a lot of throttle time here. You can really dig, especially if you're not worried about saving too much tire. But once we get 5-10 laps in, this track gets really difficult. Off the corners is all you can do to hang on to the back of the truck. And as we hop on board here with your champion, James Harris, a couple things to note here. First off, he's running the bottom. Legger's about half a lane up, so Legger is getting a better run on exit of the corner and down the straightaway, but he's likely using up a little bit more tire. James Harris also able to grab a little bit of draft down the front and back straightaways, trying to help him keep this gap closed up. See that big arc that John Legger is running, and I keep calling his name, but boy, what if he could call his shot here tonight? The driver out of Boston, Massachusetts, finding victory lane for the first time in the last race of the season. Got to think that would be a really big victory for him. Also, don't forget, these guys moving off from the Truck Series next season. They're going to be going to a late model series. So this is your last chance to get a win while it is the Grindstone Developments Truck Series. By the way, if you're just tuning in, again, championship night here for these guys at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Nothing too crazy. Early we saw James Harris with the impressive start out of the gate. Was able to get himself out in front by the exit of turn 2. As, boy, speaking of turn 2, Tyler Meeks up into the fence right there, coming off of the corner. Looks like he was able to get it straightened out. No big issues there, but he's racing hard here with the 31 of Barletta. Barletta's going to get the best of him. Now the 34, Jason Nethery. He's going to try and move to the inside. And it's so hard, especially if you lose any momentum here. Just feels like a freight train behind you with a bunch of trucks going by. You can't seem to get any momentum going in the right direction. But James Harris getting ready to get racing now back up front here. He's got the outside. Big run for the 55. No side draft needed. And they will stay side by side through 3 and 4. Got to think the top lane's the advantage. And it is. James Harris with a big run on exit here. He is going to pull clear of the 19 of John Legger down the front stretch. As Lorraine in the chat, good to see you, says go John Legger, and Mike kind of drives, says let's go boys. Miss running with these guys full time, going to be a good one. Good to see John out in front. Still first and second for the 19 and the 55. Harris was able to take the lead further back. You saw another big slide right there for the 56 of Brad Thacker. George Young had to take an evasive maneuver to avoid any contact there. He'll be able to pull clear on exit of turn 4 that time around. As we look out the rear onboard view here for George Young, Kevin Kirchar, series sponsor. Good to see him back in the field here tonight after missing a few races. And for Kirchar here, going to be an exciting opportunity for him. We saw he almost found his first victory last season. It was either last season or the one before. I believe it was last season. But I remember it was at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now, granted, it was new Atlanta Motor Speedway, but certainly seems to have a knack for these mile-and-a-half tracks. See if he can find a way to get back onto the podium here tonight. Harley Barletta now closing up on your 2 leaders. The 31 wants a little more. He's going to look to the inside right here as they dive off into turn number 1. And I think if you're James Harris here, it's kind of a do whatever you want. Go for it, right? I mean, you already know you got enough points to be crowned a champion. No point in leaving anything on the table here tonight. As I mentioned that, normally we'd save this for later in the race, but let's hop over here early and talk about the point scenario, what it looks like, and then also the announcement for next season. So again, here's the current points after last race, and for James Harris, you can see there is your points leader, and he had a total accumulation of 409 points. And again, that is coming into this race. The reason that's significant is because the man in second, Bryce Rayner, had 396 points. So they were separated by 13 points coming into this race. That means you would need at least 13 trucks for there to be any sort of possibility of Bryce Rayner winning the championship. Since they did not meet that number, automatically locks things up for James Harris just by simply starting this race. The other big thing to talk about, the announcement for next season. Again, these guys moving on to a late model series. And if you want a glimpse of the schedule, there it is. Season going to kick off at USA International Speedway on a night race, and really a lot of the races next season will be at night under the lights as well. Watch out back, trouble. Thacker going to go around. We'll hold off on that as we go back to full screen. No caution yet. Thacker hard hit off the inside wall. 56 is going to get it looped back and moving in the right direction. But you could see that one shaping up. He got loose a couple times off the corner. That time, a little bit of an overcorrection sent him up the track, some contact. And that is our first incident of the night. But again, does not draw the caution, so we will stay green. Let's go back and look at this incident, though, for Brad Thacker. You see some damage there on the front nose, and we'll just rewind it here. And it starts coming off of 2. Again, he's actually on the high side here. A little surprised to see him get that loose run in the top lane. But just, yeah, truck starts to slide on him. He catches it, but then a little bit of an overcorrection into George Young. Now he's lost it. And around it goes, and that's concrete down there on the inside wall, so that's a pretty big hit. Truck does stay off the racing surface. I would assume that's why we did not see the caution thrown. Give you one more look at this from the onboard view. This is the other tough thing about Atlanta is there's so much horsepower, but these trucks don't have a lot of downforce with the way this track runs. And so when you start to get loose, you try to save it, but you're trying to also stay in the throttle. The back tires don't quite catch, which is very easy for them to not do as they start to wear out here. It's so easy to make that overcorrection, and when you do, just nothing you can do. Straight into the wall there for Thacker. Kind of a passenger in that case. Didn't fall a lap down, though, but certainly going to need a caution here if he wants any chance at it. Back live now at the front of the field, and the man leading the charge is the 55, James Harris. And just finishing up here, what I was going to say with the schedule next season, a couple of big tracks are more so weighted towards the back half, back Bristol Motor Speedway. I thought I saw Martinsville on there. Those are some big-name tracks for late models. So certainly going to be another good season for these guys. And if you're interested in joining, make sure you check the description to the live video. 31 Harley Barletta still in that second spot, but not been able to get around the 55 James Harris, at least not yet. So he'll continue to try to work here as we get closer to the quarter-way mark in this race. That'll be right at lap 20. Still about 4 laps to go before we get to that point. Kevin Kirchar called his name. Handful of laps or so ago. He is now up to that 6th position. Fell a couple of spots to start the race, but again, starting to find a little bit of a rhythm here. We'll see what he can do before we get to that first and only green flag pit stop. Tyler Meeks back in 7th, going in the wrong direction. He's down 3 spots from where he started this race at, and here's the 87 of Bryce Rayner. You knew it'd only be a matter of time tonight before you heard me mention his name. Boy, last week did not work out the way that Bryce Rayner needed it to have any sort of a chance, but it still has been a great season nonetheless for the 87. Again, going to finish 2nd in the points championship, and I know it feels like maybe a little bit of a defeat when you're as good as Bryce Rayner's been this season, but that's why it's all about consistency when it comes to these races where we don't see a playoff format. Instead, it is just season total and points. Because as many wins as Bryce Rayner had, and in fact, I can tell you how many, he had over double what James Harris got this season, which was 2. Rayner came home with 4 or 5. Depending on if he wins tonight, it would actually be 4. Excuse me, Rayner had 3. Last week would have been 4 at Darlington if things would have worked out, but the late caution changed that. So he's looking to double it up on what James Harris had tonight. But even though he's got more wins, again, Harris with the overall slightly better consistency this season. For that reason, he will be the one who comes home a champion. By the way, Bryce Rayner is carrying an onboard view for us here tonight. There is the 87 driver out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I've been seeing a couple guys here with big mistakes. You probably saw it in the back of the camera view right there as we were talking about Bryce Rayner. Nobody's actually completely lost it again since the 56 of Brad Thacker, but a couple close calls. Just as I said it, Thacker there with another big moment right off the corner. Charles Whitehead back in the 10th spot. He has fallen 17 seconds off the leader, but Kirchar was the man who had a couple of big moments there off of turn 2 for a couple laps, and that's really costed him some time. He has now lost touch with kind of that lead drafting train, if you will. This goes all the way back now to the 8th place running George Young. By the way, I'm not sure what happened to Brian Lorenzo, but he was being scored as supposedly starting this race, but you can see he is now being scored as out of this race here, which is 21 of 80 laps complete. And by the way, in regards to the green flag pit stop, again, there will be one here tonight as long as we don't see a caution before that time. And in terms of when they would make that stop, I gotta think these guys could stretch it to probably somewhere right around the 40, maybe a little bit longer, 40-ish lap marker. I don't know if they can quite stretch 50, but again, it should only be a one-stop race. You go in, take your fuel, 4 tires, and then try to run this thing out from there. Brock Whitehead, the man who's been saving the most tires so far inside the top 5. Here we go. He's going to be looking to potentially battle for the lead with James Harris right here. Such a tough thing to do, though, when you get there. I mean, even when you have better tires, just clean air is such a big thing at these sort of tracks. And unless you can really find the lane and get around them quickly, it just feels like you start to kind of stall out. And every lap that you're behind that truck in front, the harder it is going to be to pass. So still a bit of a draft right here down the front stretch, but not enough for Brock Whitehead to pull alongside and try to grab a side draft into the corner. And it's kind of interesting now because it almost seems like, at least for the lead 4 trucks, the line has shifted to the top of the racetrack. And man, Whitehead got wicked loose right there off of turn 2. Oh my goodness. Laid down his own tire tracks right there. Big save for the 61. But the point I was getting ready to make is it's almost like a race to the top now. And once it gets that way, well, there's nowhere to go. You can't get on the outside of the guy, and the inside just not nearly as strong. So we'll have to see what Brock Whitehead decides to do if he's able to get back there. But that lack of clean air really showing its colors right there on that last lap for Brock Whitehead. That was a big, big moment. A big save for the 61. One more look right here off of turn 2 as he got up by the wall again. Was watching to see if he'd have another big catch, but seemed a little better that time. Still seeing some trucks, though, wiggle here off of the corner. So we go back on board now with James Harrison. Watch as he gets off of turn 4. Even this front straightaway, you got to be very careful. Again, the truck just runs so dicey here that if you jerk the wheel even a little bit too much on the straightaway, it's so easy to lose it. Harris doing a really nice job, though. I think he felt pretty good coming into this race once he remembered that it wasn't Super Speedway Atlanta, and he knew that the chaos would be obviously a lot more controlled. As further back, John Legger, your pole sitter, into the outside wall again right there. Nethery's got to run. Excuse me, that's Bryce Rayner. Rayner is going to take it to the inside right here, so that'll be another spot for Bryce Rayner as John Legger now falls back to 5th. And oh, is this a pit stop here? Harley Barletta, boy, this seems early. Now, this is one of two things here. I think the main thing I would think is that he's maybe trying to make this on 2 stops. I would have thought for sure everybody could have made this on a 1 stop here tonight, but can't really figure out any other reason why the 31 would have pit here unless he somehow got wicked loose off of 4 and just hit because he felt like it was the best opportunity, although I don't believe that would be it by any stretch of the imagination here. Nope, he slows up, and that's an intentional pit stop, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll have to see here what the call is. Charles Whitehead has pit as well. I've said I thought they could make it on 1 stop, but with that pit stop, makes me wonder if they think trying to pit twice for tire wear is maybe the better choice. Meanwhile, up front, Brock Whitehead did catch back up to the 55 of Harris and was able to get by, so he will now take over the lead here. With 27 of 80 laps complete, James Harris falls into 2nd. And with that pit stop, Bryce Rayner now moves up into 3rd. John Legger 4th, Jason Nethery 5th. George Young, though, looking for a spot here. See if he can get around the 34. That would move him up to 5th. Tyler Meek still back in that 7th spot. Brad Thacker 8th. Charles Whitehead, by the way, has fallen 2 laps down. Kirchar and Barletta have fallen 1 lap down. Brad Thacker currently the last truck on the lead lap, but he is getting ready to lose that. As you see the 2 leaders here, Brock Whitehead, James Harris, and even Bryce Rayner now starting to close up, getting ready to make their way by. And it looks like Brock going to get by with no issue. Harris running a similar line. But again, very interesting to see those early pit stops. That now trims us down to only 7 of 12 trucks on the lead lap here. And we're not even halfway yet. And if this race continues on pace, I wouldn't be shocked if we see 5 or 6 trucks on the lead lap by the time things are all said and done, as Rayner with a big slide up in front of the 56. That was not for position. Further in the back, another 3-truck battle here. George Young still trying to get around Jason Nethery. Tyler Meeks is right there in the mix as well. You can see these two trying to hug the bottom of the racetrack. That's kind of the other line that you usually see here at Atlanta. It's just trying to paint the white line that goes all the way around the bottom of the racetrack through turn 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but you're starting to see some of these guys towards the back struggling with the handling, as I mentioned, even on the straightaway. So at this point, you're just trying to hold on until you get to that green flag stop, which I think at the earliest for most guys here is still probably about 10 laps away or so, as Harley Barletta here on those fresher tires. I mean, he looks like he is in a rocket ship right now. This is the best feeling to have as a driver. When you get fresh tires, you just feel like Superman. Going up there, jumping around everybody. He'll clear George Young and Meeks easily. And if that's not enough to make you believe just how much faster he is, how about the lap time? 30.6. The first lap out on fresh tires. Compare that to the leaders. 32.4. That is almost a 2-second difference for each lap of fresher tires. So we'll have to see how this strategy plays out for Barletta. Certainly going to be an interesting one to watch as Brock Whitehead continues to lead here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the Grindstone Developments Truck Series here on Championship Night. James Harris, the 55, currently sitting in 2nd, but with only 12 trucks starting the race, again, is officially your season champion. Brock Whitehead with a bit of a slip-up right there. Harris looking to pounce here, but the run's not going to be enough down the straightaway. So they're about 8 laps now from that halfway point, and boy, Rayner just continues to slowly close up here. I'm impressed. I thought he'd get about halfway through the field before those tires really started to wear out and he would start to struggle. That is not the case. He continues to, again, slowly move up here through the field. For James Harris right now, sitting pretty here. Looking for a move on the 61. Got to be careful to off exit. Whitehead gets in the wall. Harris, though, gives him enough room. Rayner's got a big run. He'll look to the inside. All of a sudden, battle down for the lead is between 3 trucks, and you could fit them all under a blanket. Harris trying to recover right here. Rayner really took a big shot to the inside, all but clear. Not going to quite get it, though, just yet. So they'll continue to battle here, as that's Harley Barletta looking to get his lap back. He's going to get aggressive for it, too. Not going to waste any time with these guys. Goes around the inside like it's nothing. And oh, watch out, into the wall right there. James Harris, Bryce Rayner. Wow, was that close? Couldn't tell if it was just a little bit of crowding right there or if the 55 actually got up into the wall. I think Rayner just gets tight here. Yeah, he does. Not sure if he got in a little bit of the wake of the 31 of Barletta as he got by or what, but yeah, Bryce Rayner got wicked tight right there. Drove up into the door of Harris, but good save on both parts. So we continue to stay green. Bryce Rayner still out in front. Say still out in front. He obviously just took the lead, but even after that contact, was able to hold on to it. Brock Whitehead shuffles back up to second. Now John Legger, as much as these guys have been battling, starting to bring himself back into the picture. There's Charles Whitehead, not for position, but is trying to get one of those 2 laps that he's lost back. Still no signs of pit stops here from your leaders. Brad Thacker back in the pits. Is just as I say that, John Legger is going to make a pit stop here with 36 of 80 laps complete. So another one of the drivers here to come in on the earlier side of things. I figured most guys would wait till at least lap 40. Not the case. Tyler Meeks in the 7, bringing his Ford F-150 down for service as well right here. And as I mentioned, Brad Thacker made a pit stop there as he was getting a little bit of work done. Let's see if that draws in any of the leaders. No. Looks like everybody else still content to stay out for the moment. Don't see any new pit stops from what we had that last lap. John Legger now working his way out of the box, followed by Tyler Meeks. Those two with some of the closer to the end of pit road pit boxes. And the 87 Rayner here still clear the 61. Brock Whitehead, though, not letting up. And I'll tell you what's been interesting so far tonight. I mean, obviously, Bryce Rayner seems to have been the fastest on the long run, making his way through the field and grabbing the lead. But even for the 61 and the 55, it's not like they've really fallen off permanently. Normally, we'll see at a certain point in the run, once guys start to lose a little pace, they just don't get it back. But we continue to see some of these guys kind of fade back, then catch up, fade back, catch up, and it just seems to continue being that way here. Even with 40 laps just about now on the tire run. Brock Whitehead, another big slip up right there. He's able to catch it. Meanwhile, in the background, Harris finally starting to fade here a little bit. 61, Brock Whitehead looking to the outside here. That's the better momentum down the straightaway if you can hang on through the corner. Looks like he will do that this time, so he'll draw even with the 87. Rayner still led that lap, but they're coming to lap 40 right here, so this will officially mark the halfway point in tonight's race. 60 of 120 miles complete, and Whitehead, another big slide. Boy, he can only get away with a couple more of those before he's either going to lose it or have to make a pit stop here with as much as he's wearing those rear tires out. That's the trade-off, though. Here at Atlanta, the faster you run, the more out of shape you're going to be. 61 is certainly running pretty fast right now, but each mistake gives Bryce Rayner a chance to try to pull away here just a little bit. So as Bryce Rayner continues to lead, we'll see if these guys decide to make a pit stop here over the course of probably the next 5 laps. Again, any longer than that doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but at the same time, if you're the leader, Bryce Rayner, I can obviously understand that you want to try to go longer than anybody else. As 87 hugging the bottom, could this be an indication? No, Rayner just running a different lineup here. Maybe a more conservative line has him in a little bit better tire situation than everybody else. You saw Rayner hug the bottom. Shorter way around the racetrack, a little bit less tire wear. Brock Whitehead trying to chase him back down. We'll go back to the onboard view here for James Harris. Hold on just a minute. Some trouble back here. This is going to draw the caution. Not yet. Jason Ethery in the grass right here trying to get the truck back on the racing surface. Looks like he'll do just that. Close call here for the 34. I think he's going to get loose coming off turn 4. Let's go back and take a look at it. Was he trying to make a pit stop here? Or was he just get loose? Let's go on board and find out. No, he's trying to make a pit stop. Just way too hot. Realizes it. Bails out, and by doing that has to get to the grass, and then now you try to put the hammer back down. He's got debris on the tires, and the truck's just never able to get quite linked up there with the asphalt. Big slide, but again, no incident and no caution for the 34 of Nethery. Bryce Rayner still out in front. Still no pit stop from these guys. Nethery did bring it in this time, so that answers the question for the 34. Definitely was trying to make that pit stop the lap before, but just couldn't quite do it. So he's making sure to go in for his service now. And by the way, currently, only 5 trucks on the lead lap. If we had a caution right now, that would really, really help the leaders and really hurt the guys who already made a pit stop. Looking back, Brad Thacker 2 laps down. Talked about Nethery in the pits, and Brian Lorenzo is still the only truck out of the race at the moment, as here comes John Legger on those fresher Goodyear tires, so he will make his way by without any sort of issues there. And going to be coming up on that lap 45 marker this time. That's 45 green flag laps on a fuel run. I just don't really see how much farther they can go. I know at most mile-and-a-half tracks, these guys could probably stretch it, again, right around 45 to 50 if you're really, really good on fuel, but just don't really see more than that. And obviously, you don't want to wait too long here because you're going to let the guys who already made a pit stop have that much greater of a tire advantage. And really, Harley Barletta was the only one who we saw really try that strategy. And granted, right now, he's about 20 seconds behind the leaders. Now, when these guys pit, for Harley Barletta, that's going to put him probably, it's going to put him a good amount out in front of these guys. But then I think you got to obviously make that decision if you're Barletta. How much time do you lose on the pit stop? My point is, I wouldn't completely rule out the 31's chances just yet. Still curious to see how the pit strategy is going to work out for these other guys that have not made a pit stop yet, which is, again, first through fourth now, as it looks like, yep, with John Legger getting back on the lead lap. That puts 6 trucks on the lead lap at the moment. Bryce Rayner still looking smooth out in front. Let's go to the onboard view now as you see him working the steering wheel there off the corner, but looks pretty smooth. You don't see any major wheel movements right there. It tells you that he's feeling pretty comfortable with the handling of that race truck right now. Do we get a pit stop this time from the 87? No, we do not. So Rayner continuing to stay out as we approach lap 50. James Harris, though, did decide to pit, so your champion making his service right here just after the 45 lap mark. So for Harris, the call was 4 tires and fuel here. We'll see if he's able to get enough laps on those fresh tires to try to gain an advantage on any of the guys who have not pit yet. Barletta, by the way, is now currently 19 seconds back from the leader. Still waiting for the pit stop here from Bryce Rayner. And looking at this part, too, because here's something else I want to note. If they, even when they pit now, it's going to be right around 30-ish laps to go. We saw Harley Barletta pit with just under 30 laps complete. So if these guys stretch it to, I would say, lap 50, 52, 53, somewhere in that general range, then all of a sudden I'm going to start to believe that maybe Harley Barletta can make it on fuel from when he pit. And if that is the case, well, the 31 could throw us all for a loop and potentially try to win this race based off of just strategy alone. One of the earliest pit stops we've seen at a track all season. And for Bryce Rayner here, again, still staying out on the racetrack, has not made that pit stop yet. We saw the 55 of Harris in. Now we see the 48 of George Young in. The call for him is the same as everybody else. 4 tires and fuel. Send him back out on the racetrack. Tyler Meeks looking to the inside here of Rayner. That's going to put him back onto the lead lap now. Still, though, only 5 trucks on the lead lap now that we've seen a couple more pit stops. For Bryce Rayner here, no sign of checking up right there either. Continues to stay out. Whitehead, though, going to pit. Actually, Rayner does pit. Whitehead tries to follow him in. They're both locking up the brakes and sideways there, trying to get down below the commitment cone. I think they both do, though. And Brock Whitehead obviously trying to pit at the same time with the 87 because he feels like he's pretty close on speed. So a nice job right there, being able to stay with him. Now we'll have to see here, first of all, who gets the better pit stop, and also how they cycle out in regards to Barletta, who has already went by for the lead. So now this is an interesting boat here for Harley Barletta, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment here. Whitehead and Rayner still in the pits here. Meeks is going to go by as well, so a lot of trucks going to get by. Shows you the difference fresh tires makes, as Brock Whitehead actually beats Bryce Rayner out of the pits, man, and by quite a bit, the 61. Stellar job by the part of the driver to get in as quick as he could, and the pit crew to get him out in front. This could be huge for him to have a shot at winning this race. As again, Bryce Rayner coming out second between those two. Now, Harley Barletta is currently about 3 seconds ahead of John Legger, who already made a pit stop. And so with that in mind, I don't think the strategy is quite going to work out to win the race for Harley Barletta, but it'll be interesting to see if he pits again soon, how much time he could potentially make up. We'll have to keep tabs on that. Nonetheless, we're going to take a quick break, go grab a drink of water, and meet us back here as we continue to count down some of the, well, not the final laps, but still within 30 to go here at Atlanta. Harley Barletta leads. Stick with us.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just 25 laps to go for the Grindstone Developments Truck Series in the final race of the season. And we saw the pit stop from Harley Barletta and John Legger. So clearly their strategy was 2 stops and see what kind of advantage you can get. Now they're 30 seconds back. Don't know if that, even if the new tire advantage is going to be enough. We'll still keep an eye on it, but that has cycled Tyler Meeks out to the lead for the moment. Quickly, though, being tracked down here by the 55, James Harris, who will likely take over the lead. And then it's a question of can Bryce Rayner track down the 55 in a matter of 23 laps. Rayner right now about 6 seconds behind. Brock Whitehead sticking with him, so that was the other development. Whitehead came out a pretty decent amount ahead of the 87, but was able to quickly, or not quickly, excuse me, Bryce Rayner was able to get by him pretty quickly. So we'll have to see if that was the 61 trying to conserve a little bit of tire wear or something a little bit different. Harley Barletta 7th, John Legger 8th, Brad Thacker 9th, Charles Whitehead in 10th. Kevin Kirchar here looks like has also now brought himself back down to the pits. Not sure what the issue there was for the 91, but that now makes the second truck out of the race at the moment. There goes to 55 James Harris, so he will take over the lead here now with 22, make it 22 laps to go here at Atlanta. And I know 5 seconds seems like a lot, which is still the gap right now between Harris and Bryce Rayner, but remember, Rayner and them have a decent tire advantage over the 55, so they'll definitely track him down, I would assume, here. And it looks like they're also not racing each other too hard out back either, so maybe working together until they do catch the 55, and then trying to get a little bit racier after that. Little Muffin says, wish I was racing. My update hasn't finished. Started it 2.5 hours ago when I got home. I was 6th or 7th in points. Lol, not anymore. I hate to hear that too, and let's tell you what, I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but again, maybe not so much for people just watching, but for any of the guys who are used to racing, I can say since I've joined iRacing, and I've been around for probably 2 or 3 years at least now, that is the biggest update I have ever seen. And I was sitting here wondering, what all did they really update? It seemed like it was a lot of minor stuff. There was nothing that seemed all too major to me, but yeah, again, mine was almost 80 gigabytes. I know everybody's varies a little bit, but just incredible. Crazy of an update that it was this time around. And again, no changes for the trucks, though, so these guys, the practice they had all week was what was expected here tonight, and so far that continues to play out. It is going to be 19 laps to go. Bryce Rayner has that gap down to just over 3 seconds right now between him and James Harris, and I'd say realistically here for the 55, again, not going to be able to really hold them off once they get there. I think his best friend right now would be a caution. So we'll have to see if he's able to grab that caution. It would certainly be a good break for him, but nothing happening just yet here. The 55 of Harris, though, is out in front at the moment. Now, if these two got a little racy or even tangled up, that could change things here. Brock Whitehead's going to look to the outside, so they will get a little racy. That was an interesting kind of move right there, as it looked like Rayner was almost kind of opening the door for him. And I think these guys will still catch, but each lap that they race is, whoa, the 61 into the wall. Rayner squeezed him up. Now the 61 trying to hold on. Watch out. Save it. No, could this be a caution? Big hit into the outside wall for Brock Whitehead. Truck comes to a halt, and caution is out. That is exactly what your champion James Harris needed to see. But a tough break for one of the fastest trucks here tonight, as Brock Whitehead is going to have to go in and use a fast repair. His number 61. Oh, man. With 17 laps to go, too. So this is going to put us in a relatively late race restart scenario, and you know how crazy those tend to get. Let's go back and look at it first here. And I think this starts off turn 4, though, with the contact, and it looked like the 87 might have got tight, but he may have still been clear. Maybe the 61 just got tight in his draft. Let's see here. Or in his wake, I should say. So they go to the corner. Boy, that's hard to tell. Definitely a bit of a checkup or a loss of momentum there off the corner for the 61. I think Rayner either lifts out of the throttle because he was afraid he was going to go up, or just was able to barely slide in front of him here. Let's go to the onboard view. This one not really doing much justice here. Before we do that, let's go to the chopper view first and see, was there contact here? See Rayner coming up off the corner, and yeah, there's a little bit right there. I don't think Rayner maybe quite expected the 61 to hang on to that good of a run, but Brock Whitehead does, and we'll go back here and watch it from the cockpit view, unless, like I said, there was a checkup. So watch and take a listen here. This is Brock Whitehead that you're riding on board with. Yeah, well, you know, there may have been a little contact, but from that view, I think Brock was trying to react to what he saw was going to be contact. And you see me push just the slightest input in the wheel here back to the right. I know I sped that up there, but we'll slow it down here for you. Watch this again. Slow motion. This is going to be as they're coming out of the corner here, and get the UI back up, out of the way here for everybody. All right, so watch here as they get on the exit of the corner. He sees the 87 coming up, and right here, he knows there's going to be contact. Right there. See that slight wheel movement that he makes to the right? When you're coming out of the corner here at Atlanta, you're already doing everything you can just to make the exit without getting into the wall. That slight movement to the right, again, in reaction to the 87 starting to slide up, I think is what ends up ultimately getting him into the outside wall. Now he's in the grass. Tries to save it, but again, on older tires here, really, really hard to do, even on the straightaway. And eventually loops around on him here, and when it does, he goes nose first into the outside wall. This was a pretty big hit right here. Again, significant damages. Bam. Lucky that there was no traffic nearby. You're going to see one truck go by right here. But that was about it. Get one more view of this here from the spectator stands, but I mean, if you're Brock Whitehead, I'm sure you're a little frustrated, but again, that was more so, looked to me at least like hard racing. I don't really pin that on anybody. So we take a look here from pit lane 1. And there's the 61. You see him go by the camera right there, and the big hit ultimately did him in right there. Yeah, that was 51 there of Charles Whitehead that goes by. Sees his teammates spinning and probably thinking, man, what's going on here? So now that we go back live here, it looks like it is going to be a restart with 14 laps to go. The 31 of Harley Barletta and the 19 of Legger already had taken both of their sets of tires. I think they planned on this race going green. Works out in the sense of they've got the track position. The problem is everybody behind them is on fresh tires at a track where tires mean more than anything. So I'd watch for those two to get eaten up by the field here pretty quickly. James Harris, though, Bryce Rayner went in, took a set. They're ready to go here for the final restart, a potential final restart. Brock Whitehead, George Young back in row 3. Tyler Meeks 7th, Jason Ethery 8th. Brad Thacker in 9th. Kevin Kirchar, Charles Whitehead, Brian Lorenzo, all not on the lead lap. Last two also being scored out of the race here at the moment. Will Muffin says, no, I was pulling for him. Right there, the truck is so touchy. I've done the same thing. Yes, it certainly is that way here at Atlanta. These guys, though, now going to have to contend with cold tires and a very aggressive restart. I'd watch for a lot of chaos here on this first lap. Could decide who potentially wins this race, as we have just under a quarter of this race left to go. 14 laps to decide a winner tonight at Atlanta. Green flag back in the air. And it was a good restart for the 31 of Harley Barletta. Everybody, though, watching out for tire spin further back. James Harris likes to see that restart. It gives him the advantage. Down into turn 1, he'll clear the 19 of Legger. Quickly going to go to the high side here to try to get around the 31 of Barletta as well. And big moment further back. That's the 7 of Meeks, all out of shape. Going to save it as he has to go all the way down close to the inside wall to catch it. Barletta trying to battle right here, but the 55 of Harris, fresher tires, too much for him to handle. He is going to pull clear. New leader now with 13 laps to go. James Harris back out in front. And he's got a couple more that are going to try to make their way up there as well. The 61 of Whitehead trying to make it up there. The 87 of Bryce Rayner trying to follow the inside line around. He's going to have to go 3 wide right here. That's exactly what he'll do. Which lane gets the better momentum? Legger deciding who he wants to help. They're going to stay 3 wide, but it's now further back. Brock Whitehead was able to pull clear. And Rayner finally going to be able to do the same. So the top 3 arguably fastest trucks of the night finally able to get clear. The guys that were on slightly older tires right there. Actually a little bit more than slightly, but Legger and Barletta going to try to hold on here for top 5s. Still battling it out back there, but all that, I want to say side by side, but really the 3 wide was what did it here. Allowed James Harris to get about a half a second lead. Now the draft is going to help these guys start to catch back up, but Rayner getting racy with Whitehead right here. You start to do too much of this, and then that 55 gets the opportunity to try to pull away a little bit more once again, as clean air is such a big factor here. The 87 got clear. Will Whitehead push, or does he try to make a move back on him? Looks like for now he's content to stay in line, so they'll try to work together here for maybe a lap or two to see if they can catch up to the 55. Harris still wrapping the bottom. The 87 of Rayner trying to work the top. 2 by 2 for the last couple of spots here in the lead pack. Charles Whitehead did fall off the lead pack as we now go back to second place and right on board here with the 87 of Bryce Rayner. Watch that gap here between first and second. It was about half a second, but it stretched to over 0.6 of a second. Down the front stretch, though, he closes it back into almost 0.5 of a second. Bryce Rayner here, really all he's trying to do is get about a lane higher so he can get a little bit more momentum down the straightaway. James Harris, not only this season, but really last season and all seasons of the Grindstone Developments Truck Series, he's just so good when it comes to short runs. This is kind of his cup of tea here. Everybody on the same setup with only 15 laps to go, and maybe a little bit of tire saving, but really not much. It's kind of full go from that restart till the end of this thing. So it'll be 8 laps to go in the cross line next time. Now, I would say if you're Harris here, probably want to see the white flag over anything else in the position you're in. You certainly don't want to have another restart with those guys now also on fresher tires along with you on the same starting front row as you. But Rayner's closed it in now, 0.3 of a second. Looks like he's decided to drop to the inside here, trying to catch a little bit more draft down the straightaways as well. 61 of Whitehead playing it smart. He's gotten a couple of big runs here and big opportunities to go to the inside, and looks like he'll try it here in the corner, but he has been really patient down the straightaway. And he's got to slide clear. Oh, he does, but Rayner's going to cross him over. That's the battling Harris needs to see in his mirror, but they're still just about there. Rayner's going to try to beat him down to the apex of the corner, see if he can slide back up in front the same way the 61 just did. And he will. That's a big push, though. These two are going to have a massive run here going into turn 1 as it now closes up to under 0.2 of a second. To the back bumper of the 55, James Harris. Now he's going to have to block to the inside. And oh boy, where do you go here? You got to watch the mirror. The 87, he's going to try to make the move. Do you beat him to the bottom, or do you try to defend on the top? Harris just trying to take away any clean air that he can right here. He sees the 87 to half a lane up. That means there's going to be another big run coming here down the front stretch. Will Bryce Rayner try to go anywhere with it? The run gets him up to the back bumper, but he's not quite able to go any further. Now he will look to the inside. Harris tries to beat him down there, but he can't do it. They're going to be side by side off the corner. Does Harris have enough of a run to get back clear? Not yet. Brock Whitehead going to push the guy on the outside, and I want to say this real quick. You always note when you're that guy in third, I've always thought, try to push the lane that you think is slower or the truck that you think has the disadvantage. Keep those two side by side. Make them use their stuff up. And then make that 3 wide move to go around. But Brock Whitehead now going to get racy again with the 87 of Rayner. Harris was able to hold off to charge that last lap. But he's going to have to do it at least 5 more times right here. 4.5 laps to go as they enter onto the backstretch. Still side by side. Boy, Whitehead Rayner not giving each other any sort of elbow room. And good recovery. You got to give it to Brock Whitehead being in that last incident, bringing out the caution. Went in, took that fast spare, was able to get lined back up right alongside the 87. Driver out of Cleveland, Texas, making sure that he makes the most of his final run of the season here tonight. Those two continue to race here. The gap is now falling into 0.2 of a second. This is what Harris wants to see. Even if they stay close, they're wearing their tires out every single lap that they stay behind that 55. They'll be coming to 3 laps to go this time. Just 4.5 miles remaining, but they want to get to the white flag to make this race official. If you're James Harris, do not want to have to see another restart here. The 61, Brock Whitehead, he got a good entry here. Going to try to get a little bit lower than the 55 through the apex, but now he gets a little tight. Watch out up top. Rayner looking for a run. He tags the outside wall. This is phenomenal stuff here with just a few laps left at Atlanta in the championship race, in the final race of the season. James Harris trying to hold on to tie it up with Bryce Rayner for most wins on the season at 3 apiece. But he's got to hold on here for 2 more laps. Brock Whitehead chooses to go high this time. Rayner's going to look back down to the bottom. He wants some clean air. Watch out, though, as he slides up. Oh, he's going to get into Brock. Brock slides. He's going to spin. Watch out. This is going to draw to caution. With 2 laps to go, the 61 slides once again. And Rayner with a little bit of a grin is almost, oh, man, I didn't mean to do that. We were going for it so close. Wasn't trying to turn you, though. Second time tonight, though, that these two have tangled. Coming back here to Brock Whitehead to assess the damage he's got. Don't see much there. He may not have actually hit anything. More so a long slide right there. But that's going to set us up now for an overtime attempt. Just as what we had last week. Chaos at the end. Let's go back and look at it here. So it's coming off the corner, and I think for Rayner, he felt like kind of at that point where if he lifts here, he loses everything. So he's just trying to keep the throttle down while also not getting into the 61, but just way too tight. You see the truck diving up the track on him. There's not much he can do. Gets into the 61, and what I will say here, let's go to the chopper view, is did the 61 start to get a little bit loose there on exit? I can watch it here. I think that part of that, too, was I think Bryce was maybe expecting the 61 to be a little bit higher. And there may have even been a tad bit of netcode as well between these two. Yeah, there's not actually contact at that point. iRacing registers it as there is, and that immediately gets the 61 loose. Granted, I think they may have made some contact even without it, but again, it's just another incident of hard racing. Really nothing anybody's doing wrong. You see the 61 loop it. Truck gets up in the air, but goes for the long slide, and just a kiss right there to the inside wall at the end, but certainly doesn't seem like he's going to have any major damage from this one, which is good news because he does not have a fast repair left after that last incident that he was involved in. And watch this here as you see the truck get light right there. Again, these guys running well over 170 miles an hour here. And there's the slight contact to the wall, but again, I would argue this could have certainly been a lot worse, so I think these guys kind of got away with one. Obviously, if you're Whitehead, you're not happy. You just went for a long slide on your last set of tires and you lose all your track position, but definitely better than what the possible outcomes could have been. And so we will now go back live here up front. James Harris being scored as your race leader. Bryce Rayner second. George Young rounding out the top 3. Meeks fourth. And Jason Nethery back in fifth. And so, again, I'll remind you of the overtime rules first before we talk about the setup here of the guys up front. It's a green-white checkered attempt, which means we'll see the green flag followed by the white flag and then the checkered flag. If we get a caution on that first lap, we'll have one more attempt at overtime before this race would be deemed official to potentially end under caution if it were to go that way. But if the leader takes the white flag, then the race is official. We will not see a caution. These guys will duke it out to the finish. And it looks like the lights will go off on the pace car this time, and it's going to be James Harris and Bryce Rayner lining up on the front row. Could you ask for any more? Your champion and your second place finisher in the championship standings going to be starting on the front row to duke it out again for one more win. Rayner trying to double what Harris had on the season, and James Harris trying to tie up what the 87 had on the win or on the season in terms of the wins category. So if you are just tuning in, final time, I want to say thank you for joining us, and boy, you picked the right time to do so. Now, if you are the 55 of Harris here, I think the launch is more important than any of the tracks we went to all season because there is tire spin here, and it's very easy to do it. So if you're Harris, if you get the jump and you don't spin the tires, you might get enough of an advantage here on the 87 to not have to worry about him here until you get to the white flag. And one lap to try to defend a guy is a lot easier than two, especially when it's the 87 of Bryce Rayner. All right, here we go. iRacing.com pace car. Going to make the left turn. Likely for the final time here tonight. 2-lap shootout, green-white checkered style to decide it here at Atlanta. Final race of the season, final chance to win. Who's going to do it? Green flag back in the air, and it's a great jump for the 55 of Harris. He did exactly what he needed to do, and he's going to pull the 7 of Meeks with him. Meeks, though, with the big blindside move, quickly dives to the inside as they go off into turn 1. And Meeks is going for it, but you see that truck bouncing around over the bumps. He is loose. The 87 of Rayner is there as well. Where will he decide to go down the backstretch? He's going to push the 7. This is not what Harris needed to happen. Big dive into the corner. Meeks is able to defend low, but Harris has the momentum up top. Meeks has to lift. Rayner's trying to get under him here as they come to the white flag. 1 lap to go at Atlanta. Harris already again crowned your season champion, trying to also grab one more win on the season. Rayner continues to battle with Tyler Meeks and being trapped on the bottom. I don't think he is going to have anything for your leader. Harris down the backstretch for the final time here tonight. Great run through 3 and 4. He is going to stay clear by all he needs. Not only is he your season champion, but he's going to tie up the man who finished second. James Harris holds on at Atlanta. He wins the race and he wins the season championship. What a finish for the 55. Tyler Meeks and Bryce Rayner finish on the podium. What a way to end the season. Meeks giving him the congratulatory bump. We will see a burnout here tonight. Normally we talk about seeing double burnouts, the champion and the race winner. Well, you can't see that when the man who wins the race is also the champion. But he's going to bring it around here to celebrate. Rayner's going to give him a little congratulations tap and see if we get some smoke here from the 55. Yes, we will. James Harris with a storybook season here. Taking home the championship. Brad Thacker's going to give him a little bump as well right there. As he continues to burn it down and celebrate here. Let's take a look at your official finishing results here on the nights. Again, your race winner and season champion, the 55, James Harris. Finishing in second tonight was Tyler Meeks. Great comeback for him, especially right there at the end. Bryce Rayner takes home third, George Young fourth. Jason Ethery rounds out the top 5 with Brad Thacker back in 6th, Brock Whitehead in 7th. Harley Barletta finishes in 8th, John Legger 9th, and Charles Whitehead rounds out the top 10. Kevin Kirchhoff finishing in 11th, and Brian Lorenzo finishing in 12th. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3, starting with your race winner and champion for interviews. We'll be right back. Stick with us here at Atlanta. All right, going to start first here tonight with, again, race winner and season champion, the 55, James Harris. James, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do, Austin.
Well, first off, man, I know the race win's got to feel good, but you are season champion. You knew it going into the race, but now that it's all said and done, things are official. How does it feel to win the final championship of the Grindstone Developments Truck Series?
I'm not going to lie, it feels very, very good. It's been several seasons since we've won one of these things, and everybody's doing donuts on pit road. It's been several seasons since we've won the championship, but it feels good to win it, and it really feels good to win it while winning the race at the same time, too.
Certainly does, doubling up on a good thing. But, I mean, let's talk about the race here tonight. You were fast early. Then it seemed like you maybe were lacking on strategy or just a little bit of speed from the top 2. But we get a late race caution, and, boy, you were able to defend pretty well there on those last couple restarts. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, on that first run, I think I already knew I had the championship, so I think I ran a little too hard, having some fun at the front, and those guys they caught me past me. Plus, they hit the wall a little bit, had some damage. But on that second run, I was saving my tires better, and I think it was going to be a really good finish. And when we had the last 2 restarts, I think we pitted with 13 to go or something like that. That's all right. There's no saving tires now. I'm just gonna go flat out, and if I lose, I lose. But it ended up working out in our favor tonight.
Yeah, it certainly did. Again, win the race and the championship. What a great way to go out. You tie Bryce Rayner for the most wins on the season, and a great way to round things out. So, hey, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone that you want to thank or shout out?
Yep. Thank my wife, Courtney, for supporting me. Hey, babe, I love you. And Cooper. My son, Cooper, he's watching, I think. Thank you for watching, son. Kevin Kirster of Blackstone Management. Grindstone Developments for sponsoring our league this season. I've been on my trucks for some silver races. Champion Power Equipment and Texar Federal Credit Union. And great season. A lot of good racing. I'm looking forward to the late models next season on a bunch of short tracks. It's going to be interesting.
Certainly is. And James, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the win. Congrats on the championship. Go celebrate it, and we'll see you next season.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your second place finisher here tonight, the number 7 of Tyler Meeks. Tyler, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
How you doing?
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, man, it didn't look like the speed was quite there for most of the night until we got to the last restart. You come out of nowhere, you get a great start with your teammate. Looks like you even had a shot to win. What more do you think you needed right there to get around James Harris?
Yeah, it was James. We timed the restart pretty good. And then he got into the corner and missed a shift or had a late shift. And I took the momentum to the inside. And as soon as I got to the inside and didn't clear him, I was like, I picked the wrong lane. I should have stayed on the outside. And sure enough, he got the momentum to keep on going. Bryce got up to me. I kind of gave him the inside. And then I was like, well, I got the outside. I should get the run. And that's I think I finished like a fender in front of him. So all in all, good season. I think we finished 4th in points after missing a few races, so not a bad recovery.
Certainly not, and we know that next season things are going to move over to the late model series. Obviously, a lot of differences both in track schedule and in terms of the way the car's going to drive. How do you kind of get yourself ready for that? How do you go and figure out the changes from the trucks to the late models for next season?
They definitely drive different, that's for sure. A lot more on the right rear, I feel, as opposed to the trucks are just always kind of right front. It's definitely going to be more throttle management, I feel, coming with the late models. A lot more beating and banging, short track racing, a lot of probably a lot of more tempers flaring as we get to that fun, not official season.
Well, it's certainly going to be fun to watch. So, hey, Tyler, before we let you head out tonight to celebrate one final podium, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thanks Kevin and James for putting the league on, Grindstone Developments. You guys for sticking with us, even though we have short fields. We don't have many trucks. I don't know what the problem is with that. Hopefully we can get some more drivers here soon. But yeah, another good season. Hope you guys are with us next season, I believe, for the late models. And we'll keep on going there, looking for a win.
Absolutely. And a good season for you, Tyler. Congrats on the second place finish tonight. We will see you next season.
Thank you.
All right, and that's going to bring us now to the final podium finisher on the night, the 87 of Bryce Rayner. Bryce, this is Austin in the booth. Get a copy.
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, you bring home third tonight, and man, you knew that going into the race, you weren't going to be able to steal the championship, unfortunately, but you still had a shot to battle for the win at the end right there. What more do you think you needed to try to grab one more win on the season?
I don't know. It's tough. James did a really good job blocking, air blocking pretty much. And looking back at all the things throughout the race, felt like if I didn't make the mistake for the caution, I felt like I definitely had the winning strategy. But I was just coming in here to have a blast, have fun. And honestly, to end the season off with that type of racing up front towards the end of the race was phenomenal. I mean, yes, I made a mistake 2 times actually, and just overcorrections and getting tight and not judging it properly. I mean, other than that, it was a blast racing with those guys. And yeah, congrats to James on the championship. I knew he had it coming into probably these last 2 races. But yeah, just a couple incidences. Couldn't stay away from it, I guess.
Well, nonetheless, it was still a fun race to watch and obviously a good finish for you. Now, next season, we head over to the late model cars. A couple drivers excited, a couple drivers maybe not as excited. I got to think you're feeling pretty good for that series. Do you think that maybe you can go grab another championship next season?
I don't know. my schedule is probably going to be filling up here pretty soon. So I'm hoping to run a couple. James wants me to run a couple, or asked me why I wasn't racing. So they're not my really forte, but if I'm free on a Tuesday night of some sort, I might hop in the late model or stock or whichever one it was. I know they were going off of two different ones, but yeah, if I can make it, I'll make it. If not, they're gonna obviously have some great racing with the short tracks. But yeah, pretty fun.
Absolutely. Well, Bryce, before we let you head out, one final time this season, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, first I want to congratulate James on the championship. He definitely deserved that. He started off pretty strong. Kind of mediocre in the middle. No shot to James, but you know, from me being in the middle of the season, I felt like I was better than him and kind of fell off a cliff there towards the end. So he picked it back up and he got the wins when he needed and good finishes. So props to him. I gotta talk to well, I already talked to Meeks and Brock, but they're just stupid mistakes. I mean, it was a great race and it would have been a phenomenal finish for you to call up there in the booth. And for all the fans watching on PGR, it would have been a phenomenal finish. I didn't give that a chance, so I apologize definitely for Brock and Tyler. But towards the green white checkered was also really good racing as well. Then want to thank Grindstone Developments for their sponsor for this league, James Harris, all the admins in this league to pull off another great season. About 15 car count usually throughout the week, so that's a plus. Also want to give a shout out to my buddy Craig, who runs over with Team Conti with me. He does phenomenal paints for me, and he keeps pulling these paints out the colors I want. Design is all up to him, so he does a phenomenal job there as well. Yeah, again, Team Conti, Digital Sim Sports, Martin PC, Studio 3, you know, everybody and you up in the booth for broadcasting this season. And definitely can't wait to watch this one back for sure.
Absolutely. And Bryce, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the podium finish, and hopefully we'll see you a few times next season.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. You have a good night.
You as well. All right, that's going to wrap up our coverage. What a way to round out the season. Great racing here at Atlanta. And again, race winner and season champion James Harris, the driver out of Texarkana, Texas, gets the job done. He's got to be feeling pretty good going into next season. A lot of changes. We'll be in the late model cars at a lot more short tracks, so we'll have to see how things go for that. As for this season, I will say on behalf of the Grindstone Developments Truck Series, thank you to all their sponsors, including Grindstone Developments, for all that they have done for this league. And obviously, we appreciate them for choosing us here on PGR eSports. That's all I've got for tonight. And as always, thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, have a good night.